Hi, I'm Toni Preckwinkle, President of the Cook County Board of Commissioners, and I'm here for Transportation Tuesday with John Yonan, Superintendent of Transportation and Highways, and Dave Abshire, who is Vice President of LB Steel. We're going to talk a little bit more about LB Steel in a minute, but first I want to start with our Superintendent Yonan. So once upon a time, Cook County had a Department of Highways, right?
Yes.
But now it's Transportation and Highways. Why don't you tell us how that transformation took place?
When you asked us to go and look at how transportation could be done in the county, we said that we needed to go back and take a look at the way we did our long-range transportation plan. And so we couldn't find one. And so in the search of the different places and the files that we had, we literally moved a bookcase file and sure enough found a 1940 long-range transportation plan that laid out what today is our expressway system. And so we used that as the footprint to dream big, to look at things beyond, again, a roadway network that was just serving cars going from point A to point B. And we said we were going to do transportation different. And so instead of a lot of folks who have looked at transportation plans as looking at the way their assets have come to the end of their useful life, maybe modernize things, added a lane, maybe some additional entrance exit ramps, we said we're not going to talk about projects, but instead you challenged us to come up with a long-range transportation plan, which we started in 2013 and completed in 2016, that laid out 5 policy priorities. And the first one of those, which really made all the sense in the world, is that we're not going to build our way out of congestion, and we needed to put that first policy priority on the book to focus on transit and other multimodal type of transportation investments. The second policy priority focused on freight and the importance of freight and how the Chicagoland area is the freight hub of North America. And so the freight opportunities of truck to rail, rail to being able to cross through the area in an efficient way was something that we really wanted to focus our transportation investments on. Third, we knew with all of this that there was some disinvestment in the south part of the county. Jobs and infrastructure investments up north, in and around O'Hare, North Shore, continued to be the place where there was quite a bit of investment that brought jobs, but we knew that equity needed to be a part of any kind of transportation plan, so that was our third policy priority. Fourth, which is obvious, modernize and maintain what we have, but make sure that when it came to modernize, there was basically a new theme in what we wanted to focus on, and that was that transportation is about community and economic development. And lastly, a true commitment that we know more revenue and investments have to be made, and with your effort in Springfield, advocating for additional dollars, the state doubled its gas tax last year and brought additional revenue. And I think this is the story of how a road really allowed community and economic development to happen.
All right, well, so thank you for that preface and that framework for what we're going to talk about today. Now, points 3 and 4 of our long-range transportation plan were a focus on the Southland,
yes,
and trying to tie transportation to economic development,
yes,
which is how we get to LB Steel. Mm-hmm. All right, so Dave, tell us a little bit about LB Steel, first of all, and then what we've been able to do to support your work here.
This particular road was so
and that
bad.
road is?
156th Street.
156th
yes,
Street in Harvey.
The one
okay.
that you and John and Cook County approved and brought in with your work to get redone. Some of the product lines that we make here include proton beam targeting centers for the cancer centers.
These are all steel products?
These are all steel products, yeah. Some of our customers include like Manitowoc, Grove, EMD, Locomotive, Caterpillar.
You did some work at O'Hare?
At O'Hare, the O'Hare project, yes, we did the O'Hare project, which was a huge project.
Broad spectrum of work.
It's a broad spectrum, and the most recent, and keep in mind that once this road came in, it gave LB Steel a lift as far as a professional look. Because some of these customers, they come in and they do a drive around and they can't even make it through this street. They go, whoa. The road was so bad that we had trucking companies refusing to come in here. There were several trucks that lost their load trying to get out of here, and it became a safety issue. So the fact that this road came in was a huge uplift for us. But now, as a result of that, one of the contracts that we got was Amtrak, and we're doing a very large Amtrak project right now for the high-speed bullet train that's going from Boston to Washington, D.C. through New York City. So that's
great.
That's a big deal for us, yeah.
So it helped both in terms of just deliveries and shipments, but it also helped in terms of how customers looked at your operations.
Absolutely, yeah. And as a part of that, now the trucking companies are all back. Now we're competitive. Transportation costs are a big part of our bidding and quoting. And so now we're competitive, and when you're competitive and you get more jobs in, that creates more local jobs, and it also creates a more monetary cash flow for local vendors that we use.
Great. Now, tell us a little bit, John, about how we came to do 156th Street and what else we're going to do around here.
Absolutely. So one of the things that, again, in your leadership of really challenging us to go from a highway department to a transportation department was to make investments where it isn't necessarily a county asset. So we have very few roadways that are in Harvey, but when you kind of walk around, you see kind of the conditions of the roadway, you see the condition of our road, it never really ever made sense for us to say we are going to make the investments of our resources on our roads themselves. We want to look through the lens of where there are economic development opportunities, and working with the Bureau of Economic Development, a partnership with LB Steel was formed, and the interests of what their interests on 156th and 157 was shared with us. Now again, we know the roadway network, we understand how investments and how local dollars could actually be applied, but we don't know the need. And so we really think David and his leadership here to be able to advocate with village officials, we could bring money, we could bring engineering expertise, but we can't put a shovel in the ground unless there's a local partnership. And in this case, it really took the business here at LB Steel to just leverage some of the local politics to be able to let the county partner. We needed the business and that community lens to make the decision on that investment.
So we know that this rebuilding of 156th Street has been critical to you in LB Steel, okay? But there are lots of other businesses in Harvey. How else has it impacted economic development in Harvey?
As far as safety, as far as local police and fire, that was a main route for them.
First responders.
First responders. Now they have a place to come down. The Metra parking lot, the people who come out of Metra parking lot now have a way to go, which has
to access the rest of the community.
Correct.
So it's been a boon to first responders in terms of getting through the neighborhoods. It's been a boon to the Metra ridership. Okay. All right. Good.
In 2017, the commitment by you, Madam President, to end the diversions of motor fuel tax dollars for the Department of Transportation and Highways began our journey in the Invest and Cook program. For the first time, we took transportation dollars and set up a grant program for all municipalities or agencies in Cook County to apply for some transportation grants. And that, for the first time, formalized the way we are making some of our transportation investments, with the roadmap being our long-range transportation plan.
This project kind of set the stage for our Invest and Cook, our broader Invest and Cook work.
As Dave said, there's other businesses potential because of some of the land that is available in this area, but they all want to make sure that there is sound transportation investments going on, and we believe we've made that commitment to this area.
So we all know that those regions in the country that have the most economic development sort of vibrancy are the ones that have the least inequality. And unfortunately in our county there's tremendous inequality. And one of the ways we can address that and contribute to the vibrancy of our entire region is looking at where the greatest need is. I'm sure the greatest need is in the Southland, and companies like yours, which are anchors in their communities. You said you're the third largest employer in Harvey.
Correct.
That's critical to this part of our county. So we're very grateful that you are willing to work with us to rebuild the roadways around this operation and contribute to the vitality of Harvey, not to mention our county.
Yes.
So.
Yeah,
All right.
We appreciate the partnership, for sure.
Okay. All right. I want to thank you for joining us today for our first Transportation Tuesday. This is a series. It'll be ongoing, and you can check our social media about upcoming programs. And look for us at connectingcookcounty.org. Thanks again.